What's going on? I hope you guys are doing well. I hope you guys can hear me okay. Welcome to drboycetv.com, the home for intelligent Black people. Today on drboycetv.com, I'm going to talk a little bit about a guy named Jason Caffey, who used to play for the Chicago Bulls. And Jason made millions of dollars. Now, apparently, Jason's having some financial problems due to a persistent issue in our community called baby mama itis. The baby mama, baby daddy itis thing is a financial killer. It's a wealth destroyer. It's something that you just don't want to do. So, also, what we're going to do today is I'm going to do something that I do every weekend periodically called Dr. Boyce Exposed. And that gives you an opportunity to ask me any question that you may have because the internet's full of myths and weird stuff that people like to say. So, I like to just, come in to talk about it myself. So get comfortable, buckle up your seatbelt. We're going to get started on drboycetv.com right now.
Here we are, clan the isms, cataclysm great. Our people out here struggling, trying to make it in this state. Everybody out.
The song disappeared. So I guess that's my cue to get started. Sorry, guys. I hit a button, and then next thing you know, I'm just not the best with technology. So I hope y'all can forgive me. Give me a yes if you can hear me. Can you guys hear me okay? Let me know if you can hear me all right. I want to make sure my audio is coming through good. I'm actually out of the country. I'm in Denmark right now, and we are kind of doing our thing up here. My wife and I are about to head back to the country. And then after that, I'm going to actually be in Atlanta. We're going to do a premiere for our new film called B1 the Movie, directed by Rick Mathis. And that film stars a lot of great people: Dr. Claude Anderson, Professor James Small, a lot of the people that you should look up to and look at as your heroes and your teachers in the community, in my opinion. These are people that are extremely good at what they do. They're not perfect. They're not perfect. And I think that one of the things you have to understand about those who can contribute to the community is that we are not we are all not the same, right? We all have different opinions. People have different perspectives, and at the end of the day, we are all able to work together by being different. Okay, so with that being said, though, let me hop in and jump in and talk to you guys about what I wanted to discuss today. Now, first off, I want to say hello to everybody. Shout out the city. Let me know what city you're from. I see El Haj, Dwayne Samuels says, "What's happening with the Tulsa Fund?" Great question, brother. You should go check with the Tulsa Fund. I think they do weekly updates. I don't really keep up with it in extreme detail. Murray B. Will you have Tariq Nasheed for a one-on-one? Yes, Tariq is my buddy, and I would love to have Tariq on whenever he's ready. He's my friend. Buttock Pecan says every weekend, periodically. I don't know what that means, but okay, he sounds good. All right, hey, E. Wilson, how are you? Hey, Val, thank you. Jessica Harris, Murray B., Cynthia Thomas, Original Man Muhammad, good to see you. Let's see. You were asking, did I attend the Million Man March? No, I did not actually attend the Million Man March. I regretted that because I think I had something going on. I think money was tight. I was like 24 years old. I was in grad school, and I was actually, even back then, I was writing articles and stuff like that on racial issues and controversial topics and stuff. And I didn't have a lot of money, and I think I had a test or something that week. But I regretted it. I really regretted it. I wish I had gone to that. But no, I stayed home that weekend. But I did watch it on TV. All right. So anyway, let me hop in here and just first of all tell you guys what was on my mind today. And I wanted to tell you all about this story. How many of you have heard of this guy named Jason Caffey? Have you ever heard of Jason Caffey? Jason Caffey used to play for the Chicago Bulls. Now, if you're a sports fan, you know who Caffey is. Caffey was known, he had hops, as we call it in basketball. This brother could jump out of the gym. And he was a great player when he played for the Bulls. He actually won 2 championships with Michael Jordan. And believe me, when I tell you that this brother earned those championships, he really earned those championships. He was incredibly good, and he was extraordinarily talented, and he made a lot of money. Well, here is unfortunately the kind of sad headline that I read today, and this led me to kind of feel like it was important to have a financial conversation. So there's a case study. It says forgotten NBA star who won 2 titles with Michael Jordan's team returns to college after going broke over child support. It says Jason Caffey has 2 NBA championship rings and 10 children with 8 different mothers. Now, what I'm going to do is not necessarily read all the details. They're talking about something very positive. Jason's actually going back to college. He's going back to Alabama State University. He's 50 years old now, and it's never too late to get started or to sort of hit the reset button on your life. And also, I want to congratulate him on making a good decision and being a wise enough man to try to put his life where he wants it to be. I want to start there because I think that these conversations should start off on a more positive light as opposed to us just going straight to the negative. I'm not here to dog out Jason Caffey or to make fun of him. In fact, for all we know, he could be the best father in the world. And if that's the case, that's a wonderful thing. That means that, he may be paying the child support, but if he's a great dad, then he's a great dad. And I think that having a bunch of kids with a bunch of women does not mean you can't be a great dad. It just makes it a lot harder to do. Now, let me see here. If I was to look up Jason Caffey career earnings, what would I find? Jason has earned 68,568 dollars in the NBA. He had 3 seasons where he made a combined total of about 8.4 million, something like that. And he was, he was really good. He was a great athlete. I remember how high he could jump. That was the thing that stood out to me. And during that time, one of the things that happened, and this is where I want to kind of throw in the financial lesson for today. As we get to the Q&A, I know you guys have some questions you want to ask me, and you can ask me any question you want. I just have to forewarn anybody that comes in and asks me about the Tulsa Real Estate Fund. That is not my business. That is that is a business run by somebody else, and also I supported that business the same way I've supported dozens of black businesses. And one thing I want you to understand about black-owned businesses is that 86% of black-owned businesses fail. And as I mentioned to you guys in my new book, it's called The 10 Commandments of Black Economic Power. Part of the reason that black-owned businesses fail is because we tend to, as a community, we tend to scrutinize black businesses harder than we scrutinize white businesses. We tend to go after black business owners harder than we go after white business owners. So, you'll go after a black man who made $20 faster than you go after a white man that made $1 million. And my problem with that is not so much that you may have an issue with a black-owned business, but I don't understand the obsession with the Tulsa Real Estate Fund, other than the fact that unfortunately you may have been misled by some people who I know for a fact these are people that I used to support and work with that I stopped supporting because unfortunately they were not the most ethical people. These are individuals who have a personal issue with the founder of the Tulsa Fund. If the fund is losing money, well, guess what? Thousands of mutual funds lose money. If the founder of the fund is getting a paycheck, guess what? Every fund manager gets a paycheck. If there's something illegal happening, then guess what? That's what the government does. That's what courts are for. But to think that because something is laid out as internet innuendo, that makes it true, I think that's silly. In fact, DJ Envy is now filing a lawsuit against a guy who just decided to call him a scammer. And unfortunately, now he's in a position where he's going to have to prove these things, right? And I really think that that's an important and interesting step because I really hate the idea of us tossing accusations toward each other and going after each other and hating each other instead of actually finding some reason to support each other or correct each other or help each other to do better, right? So give me a yes if you can agree with this. Give me a yes if you can promise me that when you see a black-owned business that isn't doing business in the way that you want, you're going to actually offer some sort of advice, some sort of constructive criticism. It's going to be constructive, not destructive criticism. Destructive criticism is where I say, I hate you, you suck, you need to die, you need to be out of business, get out of here, Negro, go away. Constructive criticism says, brother, what you're doing, you're messing up. I don't like this. I'm not going to buy from you, but I want to let you know why I'm not going to buy from you because I want you to do better for the next customer that comes along. So give me a yes if we can agree that one of the rules, one of the codes of behavior is that in our community, in the B1 space, where we're going to build billion-dollar, trillion-dollar companies, we're going to help each other in some sort of love as opposed to simply thinking that I am doing the righteous thing by destroying another black-owned business while the white businesses don't get any scrutiny at all. The white businesses don't get anything, anybody coming in and jumping on them for every mistake, trying to tear them down because they messed up or going after them because they get money from the black community. Well, guess what? Popeye's Chicken took $10 billion out of the black community last year, and y'all ain't said a damn word. Mark Zuckerberg made $3 billion off the black community alone on Facebook and Instagram. Ain't nobody said nothing about that. So if you're not going to talk about Zuckerberg first, then don't come talk to me about what a black man did, because if, as far as I'm concerned, dollar for dollar, the white guy's getting this much money, the black guy got that much money. I say you go after the big fish before you start screaming on the little fish. But unfortunately, familiarity breeds contempt. We tend to hate those who look like us. We tend to hate those who are closest to us. We tend to hate those that we think that are on our level, because we think we can do more damage that way. This has been proven since slavery. So anyway, what's going on, Dr. Vibe? How you doing, brother? Dr. Vibe has a great platform, a great show. He's in there in the chat. Everybody should be following Dr. Vibe. Please make sure you do that. All right, so let me talk about Jason Caffey and give you a couple of words on that, and then I'll answer your questions. I promise. Even those of you that have questions that are repetitive and stuff, I'll just patiently answer the questions or whatever, because I don't have anything to hide here. But with Jason Caffey, one of the things I really want you to understand, I do talk about this also in my book, The 10 Commandments of Black Economic Power. By the way, it's on Amazon. It's on my website, wherever you want to get a copy. Is I talk a lot about how wealth is culture. And there are cultures that build wealth, and there are cultures that destroy wealth. There are cultures that thrive, and there are cultures that struggle. There are cultures that are sturdy, and there are cultures that are weak. Unfortunately, a slave culture that where you had over 100 years, 200 years or more of things like breeding, slave breeding, where men were breeding like animals. One of the aspects of that culture, one of the fallouts of that culture, is this baby mama, baby daddy itis that's kind of all over the place. And that's added to the fact that white supremacy kind of sprinkles on these divisions that end up breaking up black families and breaking up black communities and causing us to have all these issues. And so one of the things I can tell you is, look, it costs $300,000 to raise a child. Each child is $300,000. So if you have 5 kids, you're about $1.5 million in debt. Do you understand? When you have 5 kids, you're $1.5 million in debt. That's a $1.5 million student loan that you're going to have to repay. And that doesn't include all the time. That doesn't include all the emotional energy that it takes to raise kids. That doesn't include all the other things that come up with raising children, on top of the amount of money that you have to spend. Do you get what I'm saying? Are you hearing this? Let me know if you're hearing this. And so this is why, if you're talking about rebuilding culture, you got to think about reproduction. You have to think about every aspect of reproduction. You got to think about how you choose the women that you lay down with. You got to think about what kind of man you're going to let into your bed. And unfortunately, I think that because you have so much trauma, because the sex, the good feelings from sex can help relieve the pain of the trauma, right? It's like a heroin, it's like an opioid, right? Because this opium addiction, right? In fact, these addictions, this trauma shows itself in other forms of addiction, whether it's sex addiction, drug addiction, or even sugar addiction, right? You see obesity, right? A lot of people that are very obese, that's because they eat to soothe themselves, right? What they call emotional eating. Give me a yes if you know what I'm talking about. Give me a yes if you're following what I'm saying. So all of these addictions that sort of pop up in the manifestations of this trauma, unhealed trauma, is causing you to put yourselves in really tough situations. So, for example, if you're talking about a man who unfortunately was led by bad culture to think that any pretty lady that comes along with a big booty is supposed to get access to his sex organs, that guy ends up at the age of 35, 40 years old, in a position where he is in economic quicksand. He's in a situation where every time he makes another nickel, somebody's on his back garnishing that paycheck. Every time he gets another dollar, somebody's right behind him to take that dollar. Joe Lewis, for example, got in trouble with he had some tax issues. That was his thing. Tax issues. I don't know about the women. I got to look that up. But a lot of athletes also have issues with the women or the taxes. And so when Joe Lewis got to the end of his career, where he's fighting, getting his head bashed in at the age of 45 years old in order to pay these bills, he went and one time he had a fight and he got a big purse and they gave him a bunch of money after the fight. The tax guy was right there to take all that money. Muhammad Ali, as you saw, he went out kind of in a way we didn't want to see Ali like this, right? He was a very smart guy. He was my greatest hero of all time. I'm from Louisville, Kentucky. My grandma knew his family. My grandma went to high school with Ali. That's how close he is to my family. Like, we're actually second cousins by marriage. His cousin married my aunt. Yeah, his cousin married my aunt. And so anyway, long story short, with Ali, you saw him fighting into old age and really going and doing whatever he had to do to get another dollar so he could deal with whether it was a tax issue or women issues, right? A lot of women took a lot of his money. So ultimately, I see a lot of guys having conversations online about, things like simping and these other words, stuff like that. And one of the things that's interesting to me is, unfortunately, again, if you were to use a word like simp as say a guy who lets women just sort of drain him, right, of everything that's valuable in his life, well, sometimes the guy who's called calling every other man a simp might actually be a simp himself. The guy who is saying, look, you're a simp because you got married could be the guy who's going to be who's going to be simping in court because he's going to be sitting there trying to figure out how to pay all these babies mamas off who are ruthless when it comes to getting their money. Give me a yes if you've ever dealt with the agony of dealing with child support court. Child support court is not a game. Child support court will drain you of everything. Child support court will kick you all up in your entire ass and leave you to the point where you are just broke, busted, disgusted, angry, sick, mad, whatever. You're going to be mad at God for giving you a penis because you're going to find out the hard way, brother, that is not something to be played with. So Jason Caffey is a guy who, again, this is what I'm talking about. There's something in economics they refer to as the winner's curse. The winner's curse is where you think you won, but really you lost. The winner's curse is where you think you won, but you really lost. What does that mean? Well, I'm Jason Caffey. I'm 28 years old. I'm playing for the Chicago Bulls. I'm playing right next to Michael Jordan. As I'm dunking basketballs, I'm coming out of the games. All the girls are staring me down. All the ladies want to get with me. I'm doing twosomes, threesomes, foursomes. I can sleep with any girl that I see. Next thing you know, I'm now 35, 40 years old. I can't play basketball anymore, so I can't make that same income. But yet at the same time, I have created this trail of tears from all of the interactions I've had with the ladies. So now I've got 10 kids with 8 women and a ton of bills to go with that. And yet I have very little empathy or sympathy from any of these individuals about what my financial situation looks like now. Now I'm not making 2, 3 million, 4 million a year. I'm making 100,000 a year. Now I'm not the guy that you thought I was money wise. I'm something different, but I'm going to court trying to fight to explain this, and nobody is listening. And also on top of that, they're looking at the money that I didn't pay while I was still playing. So I'm so deep in debt with child support that guess what? In 2017, Jason got arrested. They actually took him to jail. And I don't want this to happen to you. And so this is one of the things I'm going to tell you. This is my final point. Then I'm going to take some questions here. If you're a young black man and you want to have money, you must absolutely engage in what I call Planned Parenthood for men. Planned Parenthood for men means that you can't go the Jason Caffey route. You can't, I know when you're a wealth builder, let me just tell you, I am known for understanding money. And because I understand money, I have money. And I've had money for a long time. And when I started getting money, I also started attracting women, lots of women who wouldn't give me the time of day when I was a scrubby graduate student trying to barely pay the rent. Those same women were calling me up, trying to see how I was doing, trying to catch up with me when I got into my 30s and I was making over $100,000 a year. One of the things that I will tell you is that you got to be really careful about the winner's curse because the more abundance you have in your life, the more you will attract parasites who seek to live off of that abundance. I'm not trying to say everybody around you that benefits you is going to be a parasite. I have dozens of people that depend on me financially. I have dozens of people that I pay on a regular basis. I have employed dozens and dozens and dozens of black people. And if I could do it, I would have employed 100,000 if I could, because I believe deeply in supporting other black people. That's really important to me. But let me tell you that you have to move with intentionality when you do that, because once you start supporting people, people form expectations. So that lady that lured you in and lured in half of your life, lured in access to your entire fortune, just because her ass is bigger than the girl next to her, that is not a reflection of intelligence, nor is it a reflection of discipline or strategy, nor is it a reflection of any sort of ability to engage in critical or independent thinking required of any man that plans to be a leader. Any man that plans to be a leader cannot be gluttonous and irresponsible and be dragged around by their sex organs. Give me a yes if you understand what I'm saying. You cannot be a man that is in a position of power and leadership if you cannot engage in some degree of discipline when it comes to who you lay down with. If you don't have that discipline, then they will eat your lunch. There are women that are smart. There are a lot of women that are smart. Women are very smart. In some areas, they are much, much smarter than us. They have strategy. They plan strippers and hookers and thoughts and jump offs. And these women that you think don't have any intelligence can be incredibly strategic when it comes to positioning themselves to get everything that you got. So it doesn't necessarily make them bad or good people. I'm not trying to say that one way or the other, but the reason I appreciate people like Cardi B is because people like Cardi B will be honest with you, and she'll talk honestly about how they used to lure rich men in bedroom, lock them up, give them a date rape drug, and then blackmail them, rob them of their money or whatever. Why? Well, because they knew that they would be stupid when it comes to getting access to sex, right? So ultimately, for men, when I see what happened to Jason Caffey, I feel bad for the brother. I feel bad for him. I feel like he's a guy who's on top of the world, but didn't understand that when you get to the top of the world, you have to defend that position by being intelligent. And I'm not saying that he's a stupid person. I'm just saying that it looks like he made some choices he probably regrets. And I'm under the assumption that if Jason Caffey was to see this video, he would agree with a lot of what I said. And my goal is not to be offensive toward him at all. I'm extremely proud of him for rebuilding his life, but it's got to suck. It's got to suck. It's got to suck to have to do all that rebuilding at the age of 50 when you could have done some of these things when you were at the age of 20, when you could be on, instead of being on your way to college again as a broke man, you could be in billionaires row or hanging out with LeBron and everybody else, who's obviously making tons of money doing all kinds of stuff with his one wife and his kids, all from one woman. All right, which some people call that simp moving, but that's I call that strategy. So anyway, do me a favor, please hit the thumbs up button, thumbs up, share, subscribe. My name is Dr. Boyce Watkins. You're watching drboycetv.com, the home for intelligent Black people. And I promise you guys I would answer some of your questions, so I'm going to do that. Also, just a reminder, we have a new film out called B1 the Movie, directed by Rick Mathis. We're going to do the premiere in Atlanta the weekend of the 19th, Marcus Garvey's birthday. I'm going to do a workshop there also, so you can feel free to join the workshop. Just go to b1themovie.com. If you happen to want to come to the Atlanta area and hang out with us, you can. In addition to that, we're going to do some other events in some other cities. I'll keep you guys posted. One good way to stay posted on all the events and everything else, as well as stock selections that I like, things like that, is to follow my Telegram channel. I am on Telegram, and I'm also on Spotify. So if you want to find me on Spotify, just look up my name on Spotify. And also, if you want to follow me on Telegram, you can go to drboycetelegram.com. I put stuff up there every day. It will make you financially stronger, more financially fit. I focus 100% on Black wealth. That's what I do. All right. So put your questions in the chat. I will, if you could make them one sentence, and I will answer the questions with one sentence. Okay. Or I'll try to, and then sometimes I may elaborate a little bit, but I'll try to be quick too, because y'all know how I get. Sometimes I get long with my words. Could you please hit that thumbs up button though, real quick? I'd really appreciate that. All right. So let's see. Mills Lane says, what do you think about Fed Now? Fed Now, I haven't really studied it a whole lot, but I think, let me see here. I believe, isn't it something similar to, okay, it's an instant payment infrastructure developed by the Federal Reserve that allows financial institutions across the U.S. to send money, I guess, quickly. You can make payments, say on your mortgage, ideally within seconds. You can send funds on the due date rather than having to plan several days out for an online payment to clear. This is just something that the bank should have done like 20 years ago. That's how I look at Fed Now. It's like, it's about damn time. It's crazy that you couldn't do it before. And it's irritating. If you've ever had to like send money to somebody or wire some money, it's a pain in the butt. So they're basically kind of competing or stepping in to that void that was actually filled by things like Cash App and Venmo, which should have been available through the banks a long time ago. Let's see here. What's going on with Apple now? Apple, let's see. I think Apple stock has dropped a little bit. And Apple stock has dropped, I believe, because their earnings are not growing as fast as they were before. They've had, I think, 2 or 3 consecutive quarters of declining earnings in sales of iPhones and stuff like that. But I'm not worried about that. I think it's a good opportunity to buy more Apple. And if you recall, in the last since the beginning of the year, Apple's gone up 42%. So typically when a stock goes up like that, it has a cool off period. The market has what are called reversals. Everything that goes up can't keep going up forever. So that's what Apple's basically doing. So if you want to know if I think Apple would be a good time to buy the stock, yeah, I like Apple. I'm going to buy some more, I think, next week. OS is it a good stock investment? Mills, I haven't had a chance to research it. If you come to stock market investing class, I can look up stocks for you and stuff like that. Today it's hard to do that. I can't do it on the fly, but I can look it up for you. I'll put the URL on the screen. We do Stock Market Tuesdays, and my students send me questions, and I look up their stocks for them. So you can go to theblackstockmarketprogram.com. So feel free to take a look at that. You can get a discount and join the class that way. Let's see here. How long before the U.S. economy crashes, says Will. You know what? There was a belief that this year you were going to see like this major decline in the economy, that you were going to see the market kind of collapse and all these other problems. And not the market, more so just the economy, like GDP, stuff like that. a lot of people are wondering like why it never happened. It just hasn't occurred, and a lot of it is due to the fact that there's a huge resilience of the American consumer. Consumers just in America, y'all just spend. We just spend like crazy, and they're waiting for that to kind of crack. We're wondering what's going to happen in the fall when student loan payments start becoming due again. That could affect if that affects like corporate earnings, then that can end up pulling stock prices down. But then at the same time, the Federal Reserve is going to stop increasing interest rates, which is a positive tailwind for the economy. And if they ever, and then so then if the economy kind of cracks or the banking system loses liquidity, well, then guess what? The Fed goes in the opposite direction, especially if they believe that inflation's under control. They could go in the opposite direction, which could lead to another tailwind. Let me just say this. I'm gonna tell you something about this economy. It's real funny because they tend to just do stuff that benefits rich people. And by rich people, I'm not talking about people that just have a lot of money. I'm talking about investors. If a big chunk of your wealth is in the stock market, it's hard to go wrong in the United States. That's just my 2 cents. It's really hard to go wrong in the United States if if a big chunk of your wealth is in the stock market. All right, so let's see. Next question: will last night's prime class be uploaded? Or yes, it will. The recording, as you guys know, we have the prime program where we talk about ways to generate income by selling stock options, things like that. And actually, just so you know, if you're in the prime program, I just gave a list of Dr. Boyce moneymakers tonight. Those of you that are interested in seeing what we do, go actually get on our text list, and I'll send you a training I put together called "How to Make Money Without Working." And if you want to, and I'll also send you profit alerts, things like that. So you can text the word stock to 31996. If you text stock to 31996, I'll send you that training, how to make money without working. And then I'll explain what we do in the Prime program. But yes, the recording will be available. We did that last night. And also, just so you know, those in the Prime program, I just texted you guys a list of money makers, stocks that you can generate cash from right away. Let's see here. Let's see. Healthy Fit says, what's happening with Tref? I don't know. I don't follow Tref closely like that. So I think they have an Instagram page that you can go to get updates. Also, I think they have investor meetings. So if you're an investor in Tref, I'd encourage you to follow that, and they can give you all the information that you need. Dividend paying ETF recommendations. I don't have any in front of me, but there are ETFs that are connected to, say, dividend paying stocks. And there are stocks that pay the highest dividends. So I bet if you just Google stocks that pay the highest dividends, you can find that list. Next question. It seems more blacks are trading Forex. Do you think it's a good way to become financially independent? No, I don't. I don't dislike Forex, but I don't. I see Forex. See, regular investing, it's easy for everybody to make money. Like we have things like the $5 a day investing plan, which we can give you for free in the Black Business School. A lot of stuff we give you in the Black Business School is totally free. So don't ever let anybody tell you that it costs money to join. Our goal is to help the entire community, help anybody that wants to be helped. We can't help people that don't want to be helped. Don't ever, if you have the relatives and stuff that don't want to learn, that don't want to grow, then don't force it on them, because they're just going to get mad at you. My therapist taught me that unsolicited advice comes off as criticism. So if you come in and you say, hey, I really want to help you. I'm going to really teach you. I want to teach you how to invest. And I know you're not doing the right things with your money, and I want to help you. They're not going to see that. They're not going to say thank you. They're going to say F you. They're going to say, oh, you think you're uppity. You think you're better than everybody else. I don't know if anybody else goes through that, but I've seen that happen a lot. Don't even put yourself through that. Just, help people that want to be helped. So ultimately, one of the things that we do is we do have something called the $5 a day investing plan. I can text that to you. Just text the word stock to 31996, and I will send that to you. And so anyway, things like that are easy. That's easy. That's like finance 101. That's not even, I knew that on the first day of my PhD program, but then I knew it really well after going through several years of that and teaching at different universities. In case you don't know, I have taught at University of Kentucky, Indiana University, et cetera. And one of the things I learned is I said, okay, this stuff is actually simple if you just do some basic things. If you do some very basic things, your wealth can grow astronomically, but you have to believe and you have to be consistent. If you believe that it works and you're consistent, then your wealth will grow. But if you're constantly skeptical or finding excuses not to preserve capital or to invest, then you're going to find yourself screwing yourself. So don't screw away your future. Just, follow the $5 a day investing plan if you do nothing else, and just set it and forget it. You can literally set it one day and look at it again 10 years from now, and you'll find yourself having a whole lot more money. The other thing thing too about that is that so with Forex is different. Forex is a zero sum game. That's like a basketball game. In a basketball game, you're going to have one winner and one loser. You can't have two winners in a basketball game. So basically, with Forex, I'm not saying that Forex is not a good way to build wealth and stuff like that. There are people that do it. But remember, it's just like if you go to the casino, if you measure, like everybody doesn't lose when they go to the casino, but a lot of people do. Right. So ultimately, I'm not a big fan of forex as an easy way to build wealth. It takes a lot of time and attention typically, and also there's a lot of ups and downs, and it's just not as straightforward as some people might have you believe. However, it's not terrible though. It's not a terrible thing to know because the forex market is beautiful and liquid, and it's open 24 hours a day. But unfortunately, sometimes it feeds into literally a gambling addiction because it's like up open all the time, and you get that win. And remember, when you make money, it affects your brain like a drug. Like it literally affects your brain. Like it releases all this dopamine. So you're like, right? Next thing you know, you're like really on it and you're just kind of going back to it the same way a gambling addict goes back to gambling. So I'm not saying that Forex is bad. I'm just saying, be careful. That's all I'll say. Just be careful, right? That's just my 2 cents. All right. So let me answer some more questions. Let me see here. Continuing. Let's see here. Let's see. How do you market your B1 movie during the Hollywood strike? I just do it by mentioning on my channel. I ain't a part of Hollywood. The Hollywood strike, I feel bad for the people that are in the Hollywood strike, but I do not live in Hollywood. I have nothing to do with Hollywood. I respect Hollywood. I have my students read a book called An Empire of Their Own: How the Jews Invented Hollywood, so they can learn how empires are built. So they can learn that the people who created these big studios, Fox and MGM and all this other stuff, they're no different from you. They just made an investment. They had a vision. They stuck together. They worked together as a community to build something in their image. And that's something that Black people can do too. But so I honor Hollywood in that way, but I have no loyalty to Hollywood. I have no commitment to Hollywood. I'm committed to my version of Hollywood, which is right here in our community. We're building a new Hollywood that's not going to be filled with these crazy agendas and all these stereotypes and all these things that embarrass and humiliate us and turn us into slaves. This Hollywood is going to be one that's going to be built on sort of defining our people for what we truly are, right? Which is leaders and people of character and intelligent people and good family people and people who love each other. So that's my 2 cents. All right, so let's see here. What is a similar app to Robinhood? Let's see, Robinhood Stash, Acorns, what's that? Webull. Webull's kind of similar, I guess, in the same category. And then you got E-Trade and Ameritrade and Fidelity, stuff like that. There's a lot of apps out there. Let's see here. Caffey was never an NBA star. He was always a bench player, but he obviously lived like an HOF with the ladies. Hall of Famer. Well, yeah, I wouldn't call Caffey a star, right? He came off the bench, but I remembered him, right? When I saw his name, I was like, oh, Jason Caffey. And in my opinion, if you come off the bench, which would be better, right? To be a starter for like a sub-mediocre team, or to come off the bench for the 1996-97 Chicago Bulls. Come on now. Which is better? I'd rather be a bench player for the Bulls and be like, yeah, I backed up Scottie Pippen, than to be like, yeah, I was a starter for, I don't know, the New Jersey Nets or something, and we didn't win anything. That's just my 2 cents. So I think that anybody on that Bulls team was kind of a star because the Bulls were so iconic. But you are right. You could question whether he was actually a legit star. I'm not even going to argue with that. All right, so let's see here. Dr. Watkins, what do you think about platforms like Start Engine? I would look at the reviews. I don't know Start Engine. I'm Googling it now as we speak, but yeah, anything like that, I would just double check, kind of look at some reviews and then also remember with investing, there's always risk. People forget that. I know that people come along and they have projects and stuff you can invest in and all that. And I think we should support Black businesses, even though the failure rate is very high, because you have to do that, right? White people support white people, Black people support Black people. But at the same time, though, don't ever invest in something where you're putting like your whole life savings into it or half your life savings. I don't put more than about 7% of my money into any particular investment. So all the Black businesses I've invested in, I kid you not, let's say I've invested in 30 projects that were brought to me, because people bring stuff to me all the time. I'm going to guess that maybe about 22 of them failed. 22 of them didn't do a whole lot. And that is actually better than the Black business success rate, which is actually only 14% of Black-owned businesses actually succeed, right? And it's not because somebody stole the money or because somebody did something terrible. It's because it's hard. But remember, Black-owned businesses, this is why you got to support your own, in my opinion. Black businesses get discriminated by white people. Black businesses get discriminated against by black people. Black businesses cannot get the capital that they need. Black businesses don't have the tradition and the culture of ownership in their families. So a lot of them are first generation entrepreneurs, just like first generation college students don't tend to do as well in school as second and third generation college students. Well, the same thing is true with business owners. And then on top of that, it's hard when you get hated on by your own family and your own people. The people that are supposed to be backing you are the ones who are attacking you. How is it that when your backer is an attacker, how the hell can you win when the person that's supposed to protect your back is jabbing a knife into it? That's what a lot of black business owners go through. Give me a yes if you've gone through this. It's hard as hell, right? So ultimately, it's this is one reason why I just try. I want to support as much as I can, but it's hard. It's not for the faint of heart because I have lost money. There are people I could name right now that I loan money to, that I supported and backed or whatever, who did not pay me back, who did not come back with any form of success rate. And the reason I don't feel bad about it is because at least I tried. You can't say I didn't try. I didn't go out on the battlefield ready to get shot down on the battlefield on behalf of what I believe in. That's what I call an economic soldier. A soldier understands that even if you do everything right, even if you prepare, even if you do all the analysis, you still might get shot. But the reason you're out there fighting is not because you're hoping that you're going to survive. You're out there fighting because you have a belief, you have a core belief, and you're saying, "Look, I'm ready to go to the line on this." So I think if you want to build black economics, you got to show that you have as much balls as the white man does. Do you think that it was easy when those people went out west and started digging for gold in California, or when the Mormons got in the covered wagons and went looking for the Great Salt Lake? Where a third of them died, actually more than a third. I think 2/3 of them died trying to find the damn Salt Lake. Do you think that that was an easy job? I'm not saying putting them on a pedestal, but I'm telling you that if you're going to go create something new, you got to have the guts to go do it. And you got to be able to take the losses and take the hits and take the arrows in your back and say, look, at least I tried. At least I gave my all, because me taking an arrow in my back means I paved the way for somebody else to do a little bit better than me. That's what it's going to take. If you don't have that in you, then you will probably never achieve anything great. That's just the reality of it all. So to all the cowards that sit on the sideline and laugh, like Dave Chappelle said this. Dave Chappelle said that when a hero falls, the cowards rejoice. When the hero falls, the cowards rejoice, because the cowards are the ones who sit back and say, "See, that's why I didn't ever try in the first place. That's why I don't try to do nothing, because I might fail in it. And I mean, failing's hard. I don't want to fail. See, look, that Negro tried, and look what happened to him." And that makes you uncompetitive. That makes you unable to really build anything. So that's my 2 cents. Let me keep going. All right, so let's move on. Do you feel the Congressional Black Caucus is a disservice for Black Americans? Mostly a disservice, honestly. I don't have faith in the politicians because the community has not improved, despite the fact that we've elected all these officials. I think that it's important for us to do something different, and I think economics is the answer. Next question. Let's see. Mills Lane says, "Do you plan to have Dr. Claude Anderson on?" Not anytime soon. Dr. Anderson is he's much older. He's almost 90 now. I think he's kind of done with public appearances, but I'll always love him and support him. His website, by the way, is powernomics.com. And every Wednesday night, to honor Dr. Anderson in the Black Business School, we do free Powernomics training. We're reading all of his books, cover to cover, word for word. All I ask is that in order for you to join, you just go get a copy of his book so you can read along. And we do this every Wednesday night. We've been doing this for years. And right now we're reading a great book called The Black History Reader, that literally tells you all the stuff about Black history that they don't teach you in school. Even the Republicans or the Democrats don't teach you that. So stop getting caught up in those debates about critical race theory. That's not important. That's not an important debate, in my view. The most important debate is whether or not you have the ability to make sure your kids learn what they need to learn. I don't believe that a Democrat or a Republican is really going to teach us the history that we need to know. Speaking of books and stuff like that, I have books as well. You can go get a copy of my new book, The 10 Commandments of Black Economic Power, by going to drboycebooks.com. Our kids run our family business. They will ship the book to you. You can even get it autographed if you want to. And also, if you use the code word book club, you can get 30% off anything in the store. You can get 30% off our flashcards, 30% off my Black American Money series, 30% off our financial workbooks for kids, whatever you want. So just write that down. Use the code word book club, all one word. So go to drboycebooks.com. Let's see here. Doc, once your cover call hits the strike price as your initial investment on the hundreds of shares, do you lose that amount? If you have a covered call and it hits the strike price, then basically you sell the stock at that strike price. El Haj, that's pretty much what happens. And so we'll talk about that more in class. But basically, when you sell that call, if it hits the strike, the person who bought the call from you gets to exercise what they paid. They get what they paid for, basically. So they get to take your stock. So did you lose? I don't think you lost unless you picked a strike price that's really low, in which case you could end up losing something because that means the stock went down and you lost and you have to sell your stock at a lower price. But for the most part, if you sell an out of the money call, it's not about losing money. It's really about not making as much as you might have made, but you still did okay, right? But instead, you're trading risk for security. So instead of getting that chance for the bigger upside, you're taking more of your money in advance. And that's why I like to sell calls, because I can just collect the money and I don't have to worry about what happens after that. Next question. Joe, are math courses like probability statistics or differential equations relevant to being successful at trading and investing today? I don't think you need to do all that stuff. I did all that, all of that differential. I mean, it's all relevant. It all applies in the sense that if you understand it, it can help you, but it's not necessary to be a trader, in my opinion. I think some probability, though, some basic probability, some basic statistics. I don't think you need to know any differential equations, honestly. Differential equations, that's hard as shit, to be honest. I mean, it's a pain in the ass. But for stock options, actually, the most famous stock options equation that's used to value all stock options pretty much on the planet is something called the Black-Scholes option pricing model. The Black-Scholes option pricing model, I don't know, I think they might have won a Nobel Prize for this, but basically it was a standard heat equation in physics. And so the people in finance couldn't solve it. They were like, we can't solve this equation. So they're at a cocktail party and one of the physicists says, oh, I know that equation. That's the standard heat equation. Next thing you know, boom, it's an equation that's used all around the world. So when you go buy stock options, the way they tell you how much the options should cost comes from that equation. They just do variations of the equation and program it into a computer, and it does involve probability and everything else. And it's a pretty powerful thing. It's pretty extraordinary, actually. Is Robinhood a good app to invest on? I like Robinhood. I use it for my options. It's not the only app I use. I use multiple apps. I think you should spread your money out. Next, let's see. They had capital. You can start anything with enough capital. Absolutely, yeah. If you have capital, Eric, you can do a lot of things. So that's why I say with reparations, what I would like to see with reparations is for Black people to have access to capital. For example, a basic thing you could do is you could just make a law that says any Black person that wants to buy a house can borrow up to, let's say, $400,000 interest free to buy a home. Also, every business owner can get up to $400,000 in interest free loans for their business, as well as training to run the business or something like that. Or they would maybe be required to go through some classes, but then they can get like $400,000 for their business or $400,000 for a home, or both. Right. So I think that would be something that I'd love to see. And they wouldn't even be required them to really give us a lot. I mean, they would still have to give us something, right? But I think in addition to giving those cash payments and all that, there should be some sort of access to capital, because that's one of the reasons why Black businesses fail is they can't get the funding they need. I know a lot of business owners who are running good businesses, who are good people, who are busting their butts, who can't survive because they need money, and they can't do like a lot of white businesses can do and go and borrow $1 million to get them through the month. Uber has been losing billions for years, and the reason they get to do that is because they can just go to the bank and get another loan and just keep on bleeding money, right? And the CEO is collecting 10-20 million dollars a year, and they're just operating on as if there's no problem, right? Well, that financial security is not afforded to Black businesses, and it puts you on a tighter leash. It gives you a smaller margin of error, and a lot of times it's that small margin of error that makes the difference, between outcomes for Black people and white people. I wrote a book about that in 2004. I think it's out there on Amazon. It's called "What If George Bush Were a Black Man?" And what I talked about in the book was I used statistics to prove that basically a smaller margin of error causes Black people to have outcomes. Let me get this bottle down. It's kind of weird. That causes Black people to have different outcomes from white people, and I think that that's really important to consider. Right. All right. So let's see here. Let's see. Would I be penalized if I sold all my stock on one app and transferred it directly to another stock app? Well, Karen, when you sell your stock, don't forget, talk to an accountant about this, or a tax advisor about this. But basically, when you get a realized loss or realized gain, there are tax implications. So when you're switching, there are some apps that'll let you, where you can call customer service and just say, I want to switch my stocks from here to here. And if you do that, might be better than actually selling the stock and then rebuying it on another app. that might cause a lot of taxable events that may cause you some challenges. So I would probably try to transfer the stock and not necessarily sell everything. Let's see. Somebody says, when's the charity boxing match with JT? I ain't boxing nobody. I'm a grown ass man, and I really don't think the black community benefits by watching grown men act like children. The world already thinks the black man's a child. I do not want to contribute to any of that. So that's so no, there will be no charity boxing match. I wish him the best. All right, so let's see here. Let's see. If you could choose one to bet your life on, would you bet on Apple or Microsoft? Oof. Oh man, that's a hard question. Probably Apple. Let's see here. Next, yes, about the Congressional Black Caucus. Okay. Next question. Let's see. The question from 713. When will you discuss the Tulsa Real Estate Fund financials? Dude, that is not my business. I don't know Tulsa's business like that. Just like you don't know how much money your friends make on their job at UPS. So why don't you go to the Tulsa Real Estate page? Do y'all hear me? Give me a yes if you hear this. Go to their page and find their information. They've got information on their page. You can go to their page. Maybe they lost money. I don't know. Lots of funds lose money. Lots of businesses, thousands of businesses lose money. So go to their page and they have investor relations. And if you are an investor, you can get the information from them. Here's a little tip. You wouldn't go to their page to get information about my business because they don't have information about my business, right? So let's stop with the silliness and the shenanigans. It's very immature. Just if you have a question, just go ask the question. Let's not get to the point where we are behaving in the way that everybody expects us to behave. I think as black people, we can do better than that. So if you want to really help the fund, go help them. But if you really just want to sit and be negative, well, I guess you can do that too. It's totally up to you. All right, let me keep going. All right, next question here. Let's see here. Yes, Eric. He doesn't own the TRF. Why is he responsible to us? Exactly. That's Yvette Carnell. Yvette Carnell. She knows what she's doing. She's like a heavy political operative. So what she'll do is she'll say, Boyce, Jay Morrison is a scammer. Boyce is friends with Jay. So that means Boyce was in on it too. Boyce was plotting with Jay to go and extract wealth from the black community and extort the black community, right? They create these narratives of guilty by association and all that. And I'm not saying who's guilty, who's not. I have no idea. I don't know what's going on there, but it's basically somebody who's still mad because I used to support her and I actually built her platform actually. So it's probably like my stupidity, like actually helping people have a platform who are eventually going to like become terrible people. But that's what the whole thing. It's a very personal thing. It's like she's, because think about this, right? Like it's one thing if you talk about something once, but if you make like 80 videos about the same person over and over and over again, that's very obsessive. That's really obsessive behavior, like almost to the point of mental illness. So effectively, it's kind of like that's what you're really seeing. I don't care about none of that stuff. It's all stupid. All right, so let's see here. Lisa Parker says, I'm ordering your great book. Yeah, thank you. Yeah, my book is called The 10 Commandments of Black Economic Power. It's a bestseller on Amazon. Thank you all for supporting it. You can get it directly from us at drboycebooks.com. And if you want to get 30% off on anything in the store, just use the code word book club. Let's see here. Eric says, I've got a children's book too. Oh man, you should have stated the title of your book. If you put the title of your book in here, market your book, and I'll say the title of your book on this platform. Let's see. When would you go do pocket watching on JT's platform? I haven't heard anybody reach out to me, but my email is manager@boycewatkins.com. If they want, if anybody, if they wanted to have like a respectful, productive conversation where the goal is to help support black businesses, I could do that. But if the goal is to be dramatic and just to get views on the YouTube channel, I just can't do that. That's not, I'm 52, man. I don't want to be a kid no more. That's just not, I don't want to, that's just not fun for me. So, I'm done. I can't keep going with this stuff. All right, so let me get back in here. Let's see here. But I will always support black businesses, even the ones that are not doing so well. How do you feel about the country Niger standing up to France and kicking them out? I think that's great because these countries are extracting tons of resources out of Africa. They need to be removed. Next comment, David, keep doing your thing, Doc. Indeed, smaller margin of error. Indeed, so sad all the negativity out there. Your own people that makes it harder for you to succeed. I know it all too well. Yeah, it happens. It happens. But you're going to have opposition, right? You're going to have opposition. If you do anything that's effective, you're going to have a fight. You know what? One thing that inspires me was China used to have a problem with opium. The British would dump all this opium into China, and the Chinese would basically sit around getting high all day. And so they were doped up on the white man's opium. And so you had people that said, this is not good for our community. This is not good for our country. So they said, we're going to get rid of this opium. So they did a couple of things. One, they started giving people the death penalty for using drugs. That was pretty harsh, but that's what they did. And then also they started fighting the British. And they said, you bring that stuff in our community, we're going to kill you. We're going to fight you. And so they had to fight on two fronts. They had two enemies. They had the British, who were mad because they weren't making money by ruining Chinese culture anymore. And then you had the people that were addicted to British opium, the people that were just sitting around mad because you blew their high, you took away their drugs, right? So these were the strongest people in the community. They had to take on this fight. But as a result, China is now one of the greatest, strongest countries on the planet because somebody took a stand, somebody stood up. So for the same reasons, I think those of you that are taking a stand, those of you who are fighting, those who are fighting against the ignorance, just stand up, speaking out, not scared of the white man, not scared of ignorant Negroes. And you'll stand up to the white man just like you'll stand up to the Negro naysayer. You're going to be responsible for building the B1 community, which is going to be one of the strongest, most prosperous communities on earth. But it's going to take about 30 or 40 years. You may not actually see everything manifest, but keep fighting, keep standing up, keep being intelligent, keep being strong, keep being smart, keep working hard. Great things must come out of that. You keep building, eventually something will be built, right? So the question I ask any Black person out here who's doing anything, good or bad, whatever, whether you agree with me or not, is I ask you, what are you building? What are you building? What are you building? What are you building? What are you building that's going to really benefit people other than yourself? What are you building that's going to create jobs? What are you building that's going to make us smarter and more unified? What are you building? What have you built? What are you pouring into? Right. So answer that question for yourself, and don't even. It's not me to judge your answer. I'm just telling you that I think that's what's going to help us get where we got to get to. All right. So a few more questions, and I got to get it out of here. All right, so let's see. Sorry for that kind of repeat question. I sent the second one after I deleted the first. That's okay, Super Savage. Let's see. 713 to the people in the chat. Never do business with Jay. He's a bad. Oh, okay. Well, yeah. Okay. Let's see here. Eric has a comment about Yvette. I'm not gonna say about Yvette. I'm not even. We're not gonna talk about that no more because she's gonna get mad and start doing more videos. That's what she does. All right. So let's see here. Mills Lane. Do you think Cornel West is a shot to be president? No, but he has a shot to disrupt the presidency. So. I like Cornel. I know him personally. I've hung out with him a little bit, and he's genuinely a good person. Like he's genuinely like somebody who he doesn't put on fronts. I can't say it about everybody. Like I spent a lot of time around like Al Sharpton. I thought Al was very smart. He's very smart, but I didn't. But there's a lot of weird politics, kind of like the machine. Like when I think about the political machine that controls the Black community, I see him as like a boss, like a political boss, right? Whereas Cornel just seems like a guy who, perhaps naively just wants to do the right thing. And I saw how he treated even people that didn't matter, and he just really impressed me with that. I was really impressed with that. But it wasn't like I wasn't impressed with Sharpton too. We just probably just differ politically. That's all. All right, so let's see. Next question. A few more questions. What do you think about the interview Ice Cube did with Tucker Carlson? I thought it was cool. I think Cube should speak wherever he gets a chance to speak. Period. When will last night's prime class be loaded? Yes, it will be uploaded. Chanel's uploading it today. It should be up in the next 24, 48 hours. Let's see here. Okay, let's see. You failed us with the Jarvis project and you gave us the middle finger, but you're not giving you a pass this time. Okay, well, let me just say this. If anybody has an issue with anything that we do in the Black Business School, I'm putting the support email address up there. And so if you have a grievance or something, if you ever have any questions about anything that you're not happy with, just email support@theblackbusinessschool.com. We have an excellent customer support team that we spent a lot of money hiring, and we want to make sure everybody's happy. So if you have any issue or if you see anybody that has an issue, have them email support, and our people will talk to them directly. They'll call you on the phone if necessary, right? So I want to make sure that that's laid out there clearly. So that way we let you know we're not running from anything that's out there, anything that people say. We've helped over 10 million people invest for the first time, and the Black Business School gives our people. We're building a Black-owned university. That's what we're doing, and it's not easy, but because our budget isn't big like a lot of universities, but we're much more effective. I'm a college professor, so I know exactly where we can cut costs and things like that, and I know how much talent we have in the community. So as a result, we haven't done everything perfectly, right? Some projects we've done haven't gone as well as we wanted to, but we're accountable for everything that we do, and we're accountable to you, right? Especially those of you who have supported the school. My vision for the Black Business School is a 400-year vision. And the reason I say 400-year vision is because I studied the history of Harvard University, and I saw how Harvard started. Harvard started with incredibly mediocre beginnings, and John Harvard didn't actually start Harvard. He just donated a building and they named the whole school after him. And then 400 years later, Harvard became what it is right now. So in my view, in the year 2400, the Black Business School will be a Harvard where B1 people are going to lead the world because we're going to be the best. We're going to be the most prepared. We're going to be the most intelligent. I'm leaving 75% of my estate when I die. If I die, I could die tomorrow. I'm a 52-year-old Black man who works really hard. For all I know, this might be the last time I ever talk. But when I die, 75% of my wealth is going to the Black Business School because I want to sustain that legacy and put a blueprint in place so that we can be around for several hundred years. This is how institutions are built. Am I doing everything perfectly? No, I don't know. I don't know exactly how to do every single piece of it, but I know you got to try. And I've studied what the white boys have built and these universities that you guys worship and look up to, and USC and all, University of Idaho or Stanford, and we admire these other institutions. We give them hundreds of thousands of dollars of our money. How many of y'all are in debt to a big white university right now? Give me a yes or no if you're in debt to some big white school that gave you a degree that wasn't even worth the paper that it was printed on. Give me a yes if you're in the chat, if you're in that category. Well, the thing is that all that wealth is going towards someone else's community. And a lot of that is because the scrutiny that someone might give a small Black business or a small Black institution like ours is far greater than the scrutiny they would get if they went and spent $100,000 at the University of Texas, right? And so what I challenge people on, the point I try to make to you is, because I've been at these institutions. I taught at the University of Kentucky, Indiana University, Syracuse University, the Ohio State University. I taught in China. I taught at the Center for European Economic Research. I know what I'm doing, but I don't know everything. First thing you learn when you learn a lot is you learn how little you actually know. So I don't know everything. I'm the first one to lay that out there, and I will make mistakes. I've made lots of mistakes. I will continue to make them because that is how you succeed. The only way you can succeed is if you keep on making mistakes. You must keep on jumping in the fire, finding out that it's hot, and then you jump out and you redo it again. You do a redo. That's how you become successful. So anybody that wants to succeed, give me a yes if you want to succeed. Give me a yes. Raise your hand in the chat if you want to succeed. I'm telling you, make your mistakes and don't apologize for shit. Like, don't apologize for not being perfect. Don't get me wrong. If you do something deliberately, intentionally bad that messes up, you can say, man, my bad. I messed up, right? But love yourself enough to give yourself room to fail. Do you understand what I'm saying? And when you hear the Negroes popping up, well, I heard that 5 years ago you did the such and such, and you dropped the ball 4 times. I'm gonna be like, well, what did you do? What did you accomplish during those 5 years? Because I learned a valuable lesson. I tried and I messed up in public and I got embarrassed and I had to hear it from people like you. What did you do? What did you accomplish? What did you try to do? And so to me, people who ain't doing nothing ain't got the right to say nothing. Sit your little scared punk ass on the side and let the real soldiers jump in and do the work. Let us go out here and build. So I want to applaud everybody in here that's a builder. Everybody in here that's running a raggedy business that ain't made a nickel yet. Everybody that's got a dream that seems 10 times bigger than you are right now. Everybody that feels like, man, I don't know what the hell I'm doing. I don't know where I'm going to get the money. I'm embarrassed from the mistakes I made, and my cousin is hating on me every chance they get. I want to just give you a shout out and be your encouragement tonight. This is the last thing I'm going to say because I got to go and I got to spend time with my wife before we fly out of here tomorrow. But I just want to tell y'all, man, just from where I'm sitting, the best thing God gave me was to have that ability. I wish you could see the world from where I see it. I wish you could see what I see. I wish you could know what it's like to have over 1 million subscribers on different YouTube channels and several million on Facebook. So you're hearing, message after message of people trying to beat up on you because of things that you did that were less than perfect. When you've done 100,000 things and maybe you did 8 things wrong, they pick those 8 things, right? They forget about the other 992,009. They forget even the time that you helped them. They forget about the time where you were supporting some of these people. That's life. That's the way it is. But let me tell you something about life. This is just me. This is Uncle Boyce. I hope it's okay if I go Uncle Boyce and kind of give you some OG advice here. Life is not fair. Life ain't fair. It ain't fair that you Ladies, if you had that man and you supported him through medical school and then he dumped you the minute he graduated, it ain't fair, but it's life. Fellas, it ain't fair if your baby's mamas, lied on you and called you an abuser and got you locked up. That ain't fair. Yeah. It ain't fair that the white man controls everything. It ain't fair that you have haters and Negro naysayers in your own family. It ain't fair. None of it's fair. Life ain't fair. Life ain't fair. Stop believing the myth of all this equality and equitable society. That ain't life. So what you got to do, this is my 2 cents. This is my advice to you. Accept the unfairness of life and then get up and get out here and grind. That's it. Get out here and grind. Go handle your business. And in fact, if you're lucky, one day, if you're very lucky, you'll be in a position where there will be lots of people talking so much shit about you because the work that you're doing is having an extraordinary impact on the world. So I hope that one day you have as many haters as I do, because I think it's a wonderful blessing. All right. So that's my 2 cents, guys. That's what I believe, and I'm standing on that. So God bless you. I hope you guys have a great night. Just a reminder, if you want to join our Telegram group, we're spending more time on Telegram because, as you know, we have some issue with Instagram. Again, talking about life ain't fair. They took my Instagram page, but it's okay. I got backup Instagram pages and all this other stuff. But we're going to start diversifying away from Facebook and YouTube anyway. So we're going to Telegram. But that's going to be one of the places we're going to be. So you can follow me at drboycetelegram.com. That's where the Telegram page is. It's a Black investors group and a Black investor channel on Telegram that I created. So feel free to join us there. I'll give you, stock tips and stuff like that, and some things to make it worth your while. I'll give you free copies of my books, things like that. Also, if you'd like to get the profit alerts that I talked about earlier, you can text the word stock to 31996. Just text stock to 31996. I'm also on Spotify, so you can look up my name on Spotify. So maybe follow me on a few different platforms. That way, in case something happens or one goes down, you can find me somewhere else. Last but not least, I want to remind everybody that we're going to do the release of the B1 movie this weekend, or Marcus Garvey's birthday in Atlanta. So you can join us in Atlanta or get more information by going to b1themovie.com. And last but not least, if you'd like to join us at the All Black National Convention, which is October 20th through the 22nd in Atlanta at the Marriott Marquis Hotel. The discounted hotel rooms are disappearing pretty quick. So if you'd like to get a discounted hotel room, go ahead and go to allblacknationalconvention.com. And also, if you have a Black-owned business and you want to be sponsored and mentioned on this platform, we are accepting sponsorships from select Black-owned businesses. So feel free to go to allblacknationalconvention.com. So please hit the thumbs up button, thumbs up, share, subscribe. I'm out of here, guys. God bless you. Thank you so much for listening. I'll do another Q&A real soon, and I'll talk to you guys later. Take care now. Peace.
Here we are, clan the isms, cataclysm, great. Our people out here struggling, trying to make it in this state. Everybody out here doing it, but we the ones who late. Now family, we the ones who gotta delegate. Get that money in the power, never be fake. Stick to cosign for 3. What did he say? Create jobs, support our own. Educate the same and buy back your home. Got 3 degrees, triple 10. 3 PhDs, now we on the CNN. DBTV, let's talk about negligence. Ignorance is bliss, but we can turn it to intelligence. Believe none of what you hear, half of what you see. Let's break it down here on Dr. Boyce TV. Here we are.